Fortitude. His eyes slowly opened, the dirt clawing at the edges of his eyelids as they begged to remain closed. He ached, all of him. The pain radiated through his body in a way that made him wonder if he'd sprouted extra limbs so those could hurt as well. In this moment, he pondered how he'd gotten here. Despite the pain, this moment was a relief from what waited for him when he stood. If he stood. He allowed his mind to wander. It wandered to his bride, their young child, what was left of their home. Had it been weeks? No, it had to have been at least months. Wrenched from his thoughts to the snarl of, "Get up, boy!" He had been here before. What came next was the butt end of the spear to his gut. Without his brain even sending the signal, his core tightened as he felt the soil to his left shift under the pivoting foot of the lanista. The man's technique was flawless, the strike ruthless. He wouldn't miss. He never did. The butt end of the spear found the gap at the top of his abdominal muscles just below his rib cage. Of course, they had taught him what this area was called. Of course, he never remembered what it was called. Whatever he did remember was the pain. He remembered the deep, gut-wrenching ache as the air in his lungs was ripped from his body like somebody opened the vacuum of space itself. The nice thing about having his breath ripped from his lungs was it made him forget the relentless pain coursing through everywhere else in his body. That was a positive. Liquid salt snuck into the corner of his open mouth as his body begged for oxygen. Whether the salty liquid was sweat or tears, he would never know. Perhaps it was his body seeking to protect itself. Perhaps it was a natural response to severe pain and trauma, but he found his mind drifting again. It drifted to that fateful day the red crest of the Roman helmets had risen over the hills on the outskirts of his land. Picture after picture passed through his mind as they slaughtered his livestock, salted his fields, and set fire to his newly built barn. He loved that barn. Then the real pain came as he remembered watching the shadows cut through the beams of light, peeking through the wood slats of the front door. The deep, gruff announcement of "Open up!" The first kick sent dust pluming into the air off the crossbeam as the brackets groaned, attempting to stand their ground. He shuffled his wife as she gripped their young daughter to the hard corner, preparing to make his final stand. The second kick ripped the brackets from the wall, sending the crossbeam tumbling across the dirt floor of the single-room dwelling. He moved to defend his family, but the speed, surprise, and violence of action of the Roman soldiers was far greater than he anticipated. The two soldiers entered in a choreographed movement, creating separation between themselves. The separation reset his decision-making process. The hilt of the Roman sword struck the side of his head so quickly he had but enough time to spin as he fell, catching a final glimpse of his wife glaring at the soldiers, turning herself sideways to protect their daughter. Then it all went black. As a skydiver pulling the ripcord, he was ripped back to the present, just in time for the thick-soled Roman sandal to plant itself in his ribs. He was tired, so tired. He had not chosen this. How could life be so cruel? His will was decimated. His fervor for life, once so vibrant, had extinguished. Suddenly, the voice of his father echoed through his mind. You are not a victim. You are not a coward. Life is not fair. You must have the fortitude to never allow yourself to be captivated by such childish thoughts. Get up. In this family, we never quit. A breathless surge of energy coursed through the man. Rolling to his right, he lashed out with a textbook ground-based leg sweep. The lanista, unprepared for a counterattack, was swept to the ground. his helmet rolling away as his spear clattered to the ground nearby. Rising to one knee, the man retrieved the spear, placing the razor-sharp tip to the shocked instructor's throat. Through gritted teeth, a man struggling to breathe forced out, "Yield." The shocked Lanista raised a closed fist with his thumb tucked inside, signaling surrender. The two soldiers moved across the gladiatorious training sands to subdue the man, but the spear was already on the ground, his hands on his head. The man walked towards the training arena exit, passing the pile of dead trainees along the wall. They, too, had lost their will to survive. He could not promise what tomorrow would hold, but not today. Today, he would not be a victim. Today, he would not wallow in his exhaustion or his sorrows. No, today he would do whatever it takes to return to his family, to care for his family. There was no time for selfish self-pity. Today, he would choose the fortitude his family needed. The Google search of the word fortitude says strength of mind and spirit that allows a person to endure difficulty, pain, or adversity with courage. Our world has waged open warfare on manhood. The idea of placing the needs of others before our own is now mocked with open cruelty. Do what makes you feel happy. You deserve me time. Don't you ever get time to do what you want? You had such a hard day at work. Go home and relax. Your worth and your value come from your job performance, not the husband and father you are. Getting married, being a father, these are such old school ideas. We are far more sophisticated now. Lies. Every single one. We've all had those days where work has sucked the life out of us. We've all had those moments where the stresses of life have taken our minds captive. We've all used these times as an excuse to not bring the best of ourselves to the people God has entrusted to us. Anyone who does not provide for their relatives, and especially for their own household, has denied the faith and is worse than an unbeliever. 1 Timothy 5:8. In the words of Vodi Bakum, if you can't say amen, you better say ouch. The world has sold to us our value is found in the job we perform and the money we make. While providing for our family is most certainly contained in this verse, and working for the Lord through God-honoring, honest labor is nothing to take for granted, we often forget our greatest area we must provide is in our home. We must bring our best, not our leftovers, to those God has entrusted to us. A full bank account, but a spiritually empty home is nothing short of a catastrophic failure. Now, these words are not written with the goal of tearing my fellow men down, nor to place blame. Quite the opposite. As a man, if you take a moment to reflect on how you are stewarding the hearts and minds of those God has placed in your care, what is your honest assessment of your performance? Are you allowing exhaustion, stress, anger, addiction, or pride to build a wall separating you from caring for your family well? Have you ever considered each response is a choice? Do any of these sound familiar? 1. I'm exhausted from work. I need to sit on the couch and stare at the television or zone out on my phone. I've earned it. 2. Work, my commute, this life, insert any stress of your choice, has me completely spent. I have no further brain space to give, and my family needs to accept that. Number 3. Due to my stress or exhaustion, I do not have the patience to put up with nonsense. I lash out because people keep pushing my buttons, keep interrupting me, don't show me respect, or won't give me my space. Besides, it's how I was raised, so it's not my fault. Number 4. I'm not addicted to alcohol. I'm not addicted to porn. I can quit both any time, but life is so much easier when I can just relax. or feel good for a little bit. If my wife was more understanding or found more energy in the bedroom, I wouldn't need either. This is obviously her fault. Let us not forget strength of mind and spirit that allows a person to endure difficulty, pain, or adversity with courage. The world giving men permission to do what makes them feel momentarily happy instead of choosing courage, choosing to man up, and choosing to do what God has called us to is nothing short of a blatant assault by Satan. What if we chose to respond to the above scenarios with intentional courage? Number one, I'm exhausted from work, but I never had a problem digging deep when my coach demanded more of me. I am capable of so much more. Today, despite exhaustion, I'm going to choose to give my family my intentional best. I'm going to engage in conversation, play with my kids, or treat my wife like we were dating again. Number two, I'm completely overwhelmed by stress, but instead of allowing my mind to be taken hostage, I'm going to choose to take every thought captive and ask myself how each of those stresses actually impacts eternity. My relationship with my wife and children does have the capacity to impact eternity. I do have the opportunity to point them towards Christ. Number three, I may have been raised to respond with inappropriate emotion. I may have not taken the time to learn how to respond to situations calmly. I may have forced my will upon my family or others through my anger, but that stops today. Does my family see Christ in me in every interaction, especially when I'm angry? Number four, the power of addiction is not a game. Alcohol, porn, or any other thing that I am using to cope with the stresses of life is not okay. If this is something I've been telling myself I can defeat on my own, and I have not, I'm going to have to find the courage to ask for help. Today, right now. Make the call, send the text. Be a part of the group of men that are ready to tell Satan, my mind and body is the temple of the Holy Spirit. I will no longer be held captive to the god of consumption. I will no longer numb the hardships of this life, knowing Christ died for me already, knowing I was going to give in to these temptations. He loves me anyway. In each of these scenarios, and countless others, there are moments. Moments in which choosing fortitude, choosing courage to make a different choice than the one I've been making is an opportunity for true and real biblical manhood. Let's be clear, it is not easy. We will fail at times. We are sinners, but none of this is an excuse to not pursue what Christ has called us to. When we think of fortitude or courage, we most naturally drift towards the idea of military combat. Perhaps a police officer standing tall in the face of mortal danger, or something along those lines. The reality is, biblical manhood demands just as much fortitude, perhaps a different type, but fortitude nonetheless. As men, let's challenge ourselves to confront life with fortitude daily. Let's be that husband, father, and community member that says no to ourselves and instead places those around us first. Finally, we must not keep score. It does not matter if our spouse agrees to join us on this journey. It does not matter if our kids choose to listen or not. The buck must stop somewhere. Let's choose for it to stop with us. We will set the example in our marriage. We will give the best of ourselves to our spouse and kids every day. We will choose to control our anger or step away when we cannot. This is not contingent on those around us. This does not hinge on the circumstances, adversity, or trials of life. Because we choose, the buck stops with us.